Hey guys, this is Jessica Giovini from the Just Press Play podcast. You might follow me at the Just Press on Instagram, sharing my calligraphy and invitation designs for weddings and events. I'll be chatting with other small business owners about life, from growing their biz to mental health to where to get your favorite coffee. Tune in every episode as we laugh our asses off and make fun of ourselves while lifting each other up. This is a short episode today as we end off season 2 with the Just Press Play podcast. I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors of season 2, DK Events, Surfside Smile, Vinny Cakes, and Raisin Sunshine. It has been such a pleasure and appreciate all of their support with our podcast. And as we head into season 3, we are so excited for what is to come. So thank you so much for tuning in, and now we're on to the episode. Yo, what up? Welcome to the Just Press Play podcast. We are back. When I'm doing a solo pod, I actually really love to hold the microphone. I don't know why, but so we brought it back for this week again. Today is actually going to be the last episode of season 2. So exciting. I am trying to wrap things up as I am pregnant, if you didn't know, and due end of February. Actually had an appointment yesterday. I am 28 weeks as of yesterday. I'm also out of breath. And I found out that I can actually pick my scheduled C-section date like now, which is crazy. So I called to get that going. It's like a process. This is my first scheduled C-section with Walker. If you don't know and you care to know, I went into regular labor. I was 8 days late, went into regular labor, but I was like stuck in pre-labor forever. I wasn't making any strides in centimeters so they induced me. I started on Pitocin, and then I started pushing the next day once I hit the time to go, and after an hour pushing, his heart rate dropped, so I had an emergency C-section. It was really, really traumatic. It's been now, Walker's gonna be 4 in March, so him and his new little brother are going to be basically 4 years apart, and like 4 years in 2 weeks. So crazy. And I have been in therapy since. P.S. And I feel like I've definitely talked about this many times, but if you're in therapy and you're finding that you're not finding the right care, switch to therapists. It took me going to 2 different therapists at first to then find my current therapist, who I've been with since I'm about 9+ months postpartum, and she's literally saved my life. Tells me all the time that I am the one doing all the work and she's not doing anything, but like that is false. She is actually phenomenal. So if you ever hear people talk about therapy and you're like, okay, it's not just like, how do you feel today? That's not what this is. I have done extensive therapy for trauma. I've done extensive therapy for OCD because I developed mental OCD after losing my mom and having Walker. But now the more people I talk to, the more people talk about being in therapy. So we love that. So I'm going into this pregnancy and this birth with scheduling a C-section. I already know what to do with the lovely scar after. Actually, my scar is really not bad. It's just the shelf that grew with it. Super fun. But by the way, I feel like forever and ever, women are just, well, obviously forever and ever, women are just popping out babies and like getting their hoo-has ripped open and sewed back together and getting cut open for a C-section. And like people are just like, oh yeah, whatever, because like that's what birth is. Okay, no. Like we should normalize that it's fucking traumatic, okay? Like, seriously. I had an appointment with maternal fetal medicine. If you don't know what that is, it's like a high-risk doctor for gynecology. So if you are like over the age of 35, you're considered geriatric, which is hilarious because there's women at 45 having children. It's wild. And for me, I developed postpartum preeclampsia after. So I went to the doctor and it was a man, and it was the best experience I've ever had at a doctor's appointment. And he was like, birth is so traumatic. And I was like, I know. Thank you so much for validating me, especially as a man. So I just wanted to put that out there. This episode today is not about pregnancy, but I just wanted to bring things up to speed. since I will be taking a short little break. Not sure when season 3 will be starting, like definitively, like a new date. I am scheduling episodes already before I go on maternity leave so that I can like roll them out. Super excited. Very excited for season 3. Very excited for new podcast sponsors to come on because that is something that's in the works, and I have two new businesses joining on. I'm so excited. There are still some spots available. I don't want to like go crazy with ads, and I know like every podcast we listen to has like 700 ads because that's how they make money. I'm not trying to do that. It's just like really fun to highlight small business and also like give everyone a platform and to keep this going. I pay monthly to have this podcast on multiple channels and to have the editing program that I have, which isn't cheap. So, a little to cover my bases is not a bad thing. And just so happy to have you all here. So, again, out of breath. I dropped Walker off at school, and today was a day that he cried. You just don't know. Like, kids are wild. And, like, when we first started school, like in the spring, he literally cried his first day and then was over it and never even looked back at me and said bye to me. And then we started again in September and same, didn't even care about me for like a month and a half. And then all of a sudden it started like crying and would be like, mommy, no. And like then it goes in waves. So like then 2 weeks he'll be crying and then 2 weeks he doesn't care and ignores me. And right now, for some reason, this week we're back in crying. Last week we were in I don't care about you, Mom. So today was a hard morning as he was hysterically crying. And I'm also out of breath because I'm pregnant. And I went to the post office right after dropping him off to mail out invitations for 2 different brides. And because I hand cancel everything also. And my postman, who's the best ever, Steve at New Monmouth Post Office, if you know him, was like, are you okay? You're so out of breath. And I was like, Steve, this is just like my life. Like, I dropped my kid off, got so emotional. My hormones are next level, obviously being pregnant. And I was just like, I'm just out of breath. I just hand canceled like 200 envelopes. I'm fine. This is just like what my life is. And now I'm back here and doing a podcast, and I have to pick him up in an hour. And my nanny switched days this week, so she's not in today. So this is my only work for the day, like working, like besides being on my phone. I already got through like all my morning emails and stuff. So I'll be working on Friday, which I usually don't. But yeah, that is what's happening today. We will be going straight to McDonald's from school and then taking that McDonald's to Raposo Hazlitt. If you haven't been, the new location is absolutely stunning. And getting a gingerbread cannoli latte because that's the next one on my list. Probably desserts from Vinny Cakes because I assume that they're all there. Walker will get a cake pop. And hopefully it'll just be nice and relaxing for me. But you just never know. So I've had an idea to talk about this for a little while. When I was planning my last like podcast of the year, honestly, with like my pregnancy state and fatigue state, it's been really nice having anyone come who is like virtual. So then I don't have to be like hosting anyone in person. It's just like so nice to just turn on the program and chat. And I was thinking about adding in some solo episodes at the end of the season, which according to my poll on Instagram, people were into that too. So last week I talked about how I don't talk about politics. Thank you. I got so many positive messages about that. So this week, I'm back to talk about family dynamics. Now, as we approach the holidays, it is very hard. It's specifically hard for me. And I posted if anyone would be interested in talking about family dynamics and like toxicity and stuff like that. And I got a lot of positive messages saying yes. And I believe that I wrote in my poll either like your yes or no was yes, please, or everyone's normal. Not one person clicked everyone's normal because not the case. Also, prefacing this by saying, no, in case you're sitting there like, who is this girl coming on here talking about family dynamics? Like, you're not a therapist. I am not trying to be, okay? I'm just trying to be a regular person who's letting you know that shit is hard, okay? And people are insane, and just because it's family doesn't mean that you need to be around them, because I hate that shit, and we'll get into it. And coming from an Italian family, if you know, you know, and I'm sure there's going to be people who are listening to this, they're like, ah! In the words of Sebastian Maniscalco, because he said this once in one of his stand-ups, like, if you're on board then you get it. And if you don't, then you're the problem. So anyone who's like, it's family. Well, you know what? No, get away from me, and I'm allowed to protect my peace. And so are a lot of the people who wrote to me, and a lot of also just friends and people I know that deal with this shit yearly. I just thought, like, why not talk about it? Because for a local podcast, I want people to know, like, this is real life and shit we go through every day. And, like, honestly, family is one of the hardest things to navigate. And now we're creating our own family, me and Nick. And like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, it's so hard to be a parent in general. So then you're going to bring in all the dynamics of like anyone their kids are friends with or kids date. And like, you just don't know. Grandparent, it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I thought this was a really good time, especially because it's December. Christmas is coming up. For me, Christmas is a hard time of year in general. Growing up, it's always been a very big holiday. We were always surrounded with family and like we were always in like big groups, whether it was Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Nick grew up that way also. And like traveling to New York and stuff like that, which like Nick and I look back and we're like, we're never having our kids do this shit. Like, we want to actually enjoy holidays. And I know there's so many people who are going to listen to this. They're like, well, I want to drive to go see people. Great. That's so good for you. But guess what? I don't. I'm tired. And I just want to like enjoy the holiday and not make it like I'm traveling the whole time. Like, let's just enjoy actually spending a holiday together. So, like, growing up, I was always surrounded by family. It was always stressful, though. Like, as you know, if you've listened before, my mom passed away right before Walker was born from cancer. And my mom and I were insanely close, but we fought all the time growing up because we always had so many differences. Like, my mom is one of those people. My mom was such a good person that it was a problem. And I'm like, that's why they took her. Like, my mother would do anything for anyone at any time. And she always put everyone in front of herself. And I'm not saying that's bad. She was completely selfless, but to the point that she gave all of her energy to everyone else and nothing to herself because she thought that was just like what you should do because she was just such a good fucking person. And I wish that anyone could have given that back to her. And my dad is basically the same way. And I get annoyed with him a lot because my dad's always been taken advantage of by people because my dad can meet you in 5 minutes from now. You just like mention that you like need to get something fixed in your house or your car, whatever. And he'll like offer to do it for you or tell you where to go or make a phone call to a friend. Like, that's just my dad. Like, he is just a saint. Both of my parents really were. And they argued, which is hilarious because they actually had a lot of similarities. And so, like, going into holidays, my mom was one of those people that, like, people in her family drove her insane. Like, one sibling drove her so insane. And yet, my mom never, like, cut them off because she thought, like, she couldn't. And my whole life, I grew up, like, hearing my mom complain about one of these siblings and, like, constantly just, like, ignoring their phone calls and, like, not wanting to deal with them but always saying like, "Oh, well, I have to because I have to keep it together for grandma and grandpa." My God, no, you don't, because now the aftermath of that is 50 times worse. So, like, no, you really don't. Also, you can like have a relationship with people, but you don't have to like see them all the time. Also, for me, I personally think holidays are like one of the most special times, especially now that I'm a parent. So like I want to only surround myself with the best people in those situations. So I have good memories for myself. I have good memories for my kids. I don't want them to be like we had to spend time with all these toxic people just because, it was family. Like, no, we don't have to do that. We used to go and visit my dad's family and like no one wanted to be there. And I was like, why are we doing this? But it was like, oh, well, we have to because it's family. Like, oh my God, I'm so over that. Like, why are we giving our energy to people who do not deserve our energy? It's called setting boundaries. I'm stopping this generational trauma in my family for my kids so I could better our lives. I've been around it for too long and I'm so over it. So, if you know what I'm talking about, I feel you and you're not alone. And I also know, like, you, some of you definitely know. Also, if you come from a family that's normal, like super gel, that's friggin' amazing. Actually, Nick, like, I mean, obviously everyone's different. Every family's like, there's so many of you, and like, everyone has different personalities. There's really no like drama on his side of either family. So like, when Nick came and met me, it was kind of like, whoa, but like, he stuck around, so that's good. But it's just like, what the fuck? Like, who cares? Is any of this really that important? This goes back to my episode last week. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. Leave me alone. I just want to hang out with my dog and see my kids smile and be around positive energy, because everything is energy, and that's something I've learned as I get older. Like, holy shit, we are all energy. So actually, I feel like this Christmas is shockingly one of my hardest going into. After losing my mom, that Christmas was really hard. I gotten hit with postpartum OCD literally right before it. I remember on Christmas Day, I was just like terrified of everything in life, and like terrified of like scary, intrusive thoughts, but also like grieving so hard that my mom wasn't there. And that was super tough. But like we kind of all came together, and it was like beautiful. And then from there, things have certainly changed in my life. And like I'm being really open and honest. I won't get into details because even though I've been told this is my podcast and I can say whatever I want legally, like I have one sibling. It's a sister. We were always very close growing up because we were sisters, but she drove me insane. It was very hard to grow up with her. She's a pathological liar and lied about everything all the time. And I always protected her because I thought I was just supposed to, because it's family and she's my sister and I look up to her and I just wanted to be like her. And then I got older and I was like, shit, I don't want to be like her. Like, she sucks. And I always kept it together for my mother, who always asked me to, basically. And I have two nephews and I love them so much. So I always just wanted to keep things peaceful, even if it meant like not always seeing her or seeing them. But I just always want to see my nephews. It's very hard for me. They're such special boys, and now they're older, and it's just like crazy. To be frank, my sister has lived double lives. There's love children involved. The pathological narcissism is insane. The sociopathy is actually 50 times worse than that. Let's just see. We could say fake licenses, fake names, fake everything. I still talk to my now ex brother in law, who's I still consider my brother in law. They are now divorced. My sister started a life during that time with someone else and bringing in another child who I have not met because she and I have not talked now. It's going to be 2 years in February. And that was by choice. I cannot be around that. It is so, so bad. And it's extremely sad. It actually makes me more sad than anything. And I don't think people realize that. Like, I've had to put boundaries up even just with my grandma, who like I've always been insanely close with, because all my grandma wants is for things to go back to normal in life. Okay, well, my mom passed away. We can't change that. And that was her daughter. And that's awful. My papa, my mom's dad, and my grandma's husband passed away 6 months after my mom. So like obviously these are things that we can't change, and it fucking sucks and it's so sad, and we've gone through so much loss. So I will put up that boundary for myself. Even my dad has. And my dad is, again, the most giving person. When I talk about the amount of how do I say this? Financial and just in general things that have been stolen from him from this person. It's so bad, and yet my dad still has such a big heart because, it's still his kid. I don't get to see my nephews as much, which makes me extremely sad. I also have technically another niece, but I don't know her. And my sister is now remarried to someone else. I did show up when she almost died in the hospital giving birth, but that obviously doesn't matter to her. But yeah, I've had to set those boundaries even with my grandma, because she thinks that, despite everything, and despite that my sister didn't talk to her forever, but now calls. So now that she calls, it's okay that we should chat. And that's just not how it works. There's so much more that goes into all of this that I'm saying, but I don't think you really want to learn about all of the insanity of my life. But if you relate, let's chat, because I would love to, because it makes me feel better knowing that I am not the only person with a psychotic family. So that's good. But as I head into this Christmas, the reason that I'm feeling actually harder about it is because now I have my son. We're heading into Christmas, and like to be honest, family-wise, like the only family I really have is my dad. I talked to one of my cousins who's great. And then like obviously there's other ones that just check in randomly, and that's fine. But like I grew up with so much family, even though it was like toxic, it was still like you're just used to being around people for holidays. And now we're heading into Christmas and it's like just us and my dad and like obviously my in-laws, but and like my brother-in-law and like as in like Nick's brother, and I have a niece and nephew and they're amazing, but it's still weird. It's still like a huge life change. And now we're creating our own family. We have Walker, we're going to have another little boy coming. So it's like kind of just wild to sit back and be like, "Hmm, this is different." And it's actually different in a nice way, but it's still a big change. And like if I've learned anything in therapy, it's that two things can be true at once. So like I could be like, this is a good thing, but it's still sad. Like it's weird. And, it's just kind of wild to just think about life and like all the different navigations that we go through. And, when I posted that I was going to focus on talking about this topic for this podcast and my last podcast of this season, I got a message from someone who actually was on my podcast who was like, this is why I cry every December. Like, this is a real thing. And like, I I wish like more people would realize that. And I'm not tooting my horn whatsoever, but like I have friends from all different backgrounds with family and all different situations, and I don't think and correct me if I'm wrong for any of my friends who might listen to this. I don't think that I've been someone who's been ignorant about it and been like, "Oh, well, it's family." Like I've never felt that way. Or like I have unfortunately been in a situation now. I lost my mom, right? Losing your parent, especially specifically if you're close to them. You could also lose a parent and not be close with them, and it hits in a totally different way because I have friends that have gone through that. Number one, know your audience. Okay. That is the biggest thing I can say. And I have friends and family members who have said shit to me that I'm just like, do you hear yourself? Like you are talking to the wrong person here. And all I do, I just bite my tongue because I just remind myself that they're ignorant and they really, it's not a that me thing, it's a them thing. They just like don't get it. Don't complain to me about that. At least you can call your parent. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like I would give anything to be able to talk to my mom. Spiritually, we do, but it's just not the same. It's not the same having someone physically here, not being able to check in all the time. My dad also moved to Florida, so that's been an adjustment, and I'm so happy for him because he's really happy down there. But like I don't get to see him all the time, and I don't get to just. I'm very used to my dad just like showing up if you needed help, and like that's not the case anymore. So, and that's fine. Again, a change because I know like even my mother-in-law's commented like about it, like, oh, I think he's gonna move back, and like no he's not, and like that's fine. I want him to live. Like you don't know what it's like to lose your spouse. Like let this man live. Like he is going through shit, but we get to travel down there. He travels up here a lot. Actually, he's coming up for Christmas. It's great, but again, these are changes. So I just want to normalize that. Number one, the whole blood is thicker than water thing is fucking bullshit, and I hate that so much. You literally can't pick the people that you're related to. That's like saying a mass murderer just because it's your mom or dad. Well, they're a great person because they're your mom or dad. Like, no, like I didn't get to choose that, unfortunately. So you can't always choose that. It just is what it is. I love my friends, the people that are so important to me in my life. I consider my family. They are the people I talk to more than anyone. My best friend just threw me a little surprise shower brunch for the new baby, and it was so special. And she's my best friend in the whole world, and I was the maid of honor in her wedding. And we've been friends since we're like 12, and like we've been through everything together in our lives. And for her to like do that for me with just a few friends and like even pay for it was so incredibly special, and I will never forget that. And it just kind of proves like you can make your own family in those ways. Like the people that you choose to surround yourself with are the most important to your health, to your energy. So I hope I didn't ramble on forever. I hope that you're not like, I don't care about your life. You don't have to listen, but I'm just trying to be open because I just want you to know that like if you're in a tough spot for the holidays and if you're feeling a certain way and feeling heaviness for whatever reason, like I really get it. I get it from like the loss of a parent to also the loss of family members, even though they're alive. That's still a loss. And I just think it's really important to talk about. And this day and age, everyone is so much more open. And I just appreciate it myself because it really helps me. So I really hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season. Again, holidays are really hard especially when you are going through something in a struggle. You are not alone. Please feel free to send me a message if you ever want to chat. And thank you so much for supporting this podcast as we head into season 3. Season 2 is amazing. We've had some incredible guests. I'm so happy to be able to talk to new people and meet new people. So many of the guests we had on this season, or I should say I had on this season, are people I've never even met. And I really appreciate that they wanted to come talk to me also. And I feel like I've made so many new friendships, and it just makes me so happy. And it's like, for me, that's like worth talking about and life worth living, to meet new people, have experiences, create your own circle of really good energy, because at the end of the day, that's like all we have, like, is the energy that we put out and receive. And I'm just feeling very grateful in this moment as I wrap this up. So thank you so much. Tune in for season 3. I can't wait. I'll come back with a babe, maybe do recordings with one on my leg, and just wish you all a wonderful end of the year. And that's it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in for another week of some awesome small business owners. If you like this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. Getting a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube is so important for people to be able to find this podcast. So if you like this, you can keep following me at The Just Press and at Just Press Play Pod on Instagram, and I'll catch you next week.